We are working in the red Big Ideas Record and Practice Journal today. Today we're actually doing two lessons for the price of one. We're doing 6.3 and 6.4, and it is essentially dealing with the percent proportion. Now, what you're going to hear me talk a lot about on this video is we're going to do the percent proportion, which basically we have an is and an of number, and we have a percent over 100. And in order to find your answer, we're going to cross multiply, and then we're going to divide. Now, I will set a lot of these up the correct way, and then we'll come up with our answer. So for number one, it's 40% of 60 is what number? Well, whenever you see 40%, you want to make sure you put 40 over 100, because a percent always goes over 100. Then the second Q would be of 60, so 60 is going to go on the bottom. The number that we're missing the is number. Another thing that can be associated with is the part, of is the whole. So when we do this, we're going to cross multiply, divide. We're going to get 2400 divided by 100, and x is going to be equal to 24. Then the last step is we just want to make sure this makes sense. Those little dots stand for proportionate to, but they can also, it's kind of like equal to. So 40 over 100, is that equal to 24 over 60? Yeah, pretty much makes sense. It's a little bit less than half. It's a little bit less than half. All right, number two. 17 is, that tells me that 17 is on top, of 50, that tells me that 50 is on the bottom, is proportionate to what percent? This time we're missing our percent, and we're still going to cross multiply and divide. Eventually we're going to get 1700 when we cross multiply those two and then divide by 50. 1700 divided by 50, and our x is going to be 34. 17 out of 50 is the same as 34 over 100. The final example for 6.3 is 38% of what number is 57. Here's my clue. 38% goes over 100. And is 57. So we know the 57 goes on top. Once again, we're going to cross multiply and divide. We're going to get 5700 divided by 38. 5700 divided by 38 is 150. Does that make sense? 38 over 100 is the same as 57 over 150. Again, cross multiply and divide to get your answers. We're going to cross multiply here. We're going to divide by 38. We're going to cross multiply here. We're going to divide by 38. Now, 6.4, it's the same concept. We're still doing that percent proportion. What number is 35%? Again, here's 35%. 35 over 100. Of 80, 80 is going to go on the bottom. We've got 35 times 80 divided by 100 is going to be 28. So 35 over 100 is the same as 28 over 80. For number two, 8 is what percent of 5? 8 is, that's my Q, 8 goes on top of 5, 5 goes on the bottom. The percent I do not know. That would be 800 divided by 5, and x is going to be equal to 160. 8 over 5 is the same as 160 over 100. And finally, the last problem. What percent of 125 is 50? 50 on top, 125 on the bottom. We don't know the percent. We're going to do 50 times 100. 5,000 divided by 125, and my answer would be 40. 50 over 125 is the same as 40 over 100. Once again, this is 6.3 and 6.4. The percent proportion is over of, percent over 100. Cross multiply and divide to find your answer.